Good afternoon, brother. Good afternoon. So today I kind of want to talk to you about euthanasia, also known as mercy killing. Euthanasia is a term that's used a lot of times in hospitals and when involved with people with chronic illnesses that they're not going to heal from, and just over time letting them die or succumb to their illnesses because they're in so much pain, right? But there's two kinds of euthanasia, right? Two types of mercy killing. There's a type of mercy killing that you just allow them to die on their own, which is passive euthanasia, and there's also active euthanasia, which is actively taking someone's life due to the fact that they're going to die from their ailments anyways. There's a lot of ethical questions that come up with the idea of euthanasia and taking somebody's life, for the purpose of, in quotes, saving it, right? Or just like putting them out of their misery. An example of passive euthanasia would be if somebody had cancer. If somebody had cancer and they have decided that they wanted to stop getting their chemo treatments, and they end up succumbing to their ailments because they're no longer taking those chemo treatments, that would be passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia. Active euthanasia would be another example of passive euthanasia. If somebody had a DNR, if they had taken just enough damage in a car accident or something, and they decided that they don't want to be resuscitated, that's also an example of passive euthanasia. But the thing about passive euthanasia is that the person is still enduring that pain and suffering until they end up dying from whatever their ailment is. So the biggest issue with that active euthanasia is just as okay due to the fact that you're actually getting rid of whatever is bothering that person at a quicker rate, putting them out of also known as just putting them out of their pain faster. I personally don't have any attachment to either one. I feel like depending on the circumstance, either one can be permissible. But saying that passive euthanasia would be better or more justifiable than active euthanasia doesn't really make much sense to me if the person is going to die anyways, and to an extent you're actually helping them out by not forcing them to endure that same thing that they had to go through. Is there anything about passive euthanasia or active euthanasia that you don't understand? So another question for you, bro.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Question about what's last question again?
So with the context, which one do you think would be more permissible morally? Passive or active, or do you think they're both equally scalable?
I think the one that allows the person to know that they're able to pick the decision, I think, is more permissible. I think the example of cancer, if the person knowing that they don't want to take the chemo, that they decide that it's their decision as opposed to somebody else's, is overall better.
I do have to agree with that. I feel like being able to give somebody the power back in their situation where they can feel powerless is really important. It's some real stuff. But I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you listening. And I hope you learned something real slight.
For sure.